Welcome to Relaxed Reddit Readings. Today we have 5 Reddit stories for you. Reddit stories, family, betrayal, and standing your ground. Story 1. My dad missed everything, so I told him to skip my graduation. So my dad missed pretty much every major moment of my life for the last 8 years, and now he's mad that I don't want him at my graduation. Let me back up. I'm 22, I just finished 5 years of college, 1 extra year tacked on because I switched majors, and I worked part-time the entire way through. This wasn't easy. I busted my butt for this degree, and I am genuinely, deeply proud of myself for finishing. Now here's the family situation. My parents split up when I was 14. About a year after the divorce, my dad moved to a different city for work. We stayed in touch, technically, but it was always inconsistent. Birthdays would come and go with just a text, sometimes not even that. He missed my high school graduation because he said work was too busy. He missed my 18th birthday. He missed the day I moved into my college dorm, which was honestly one of the most terrifying and exciting days of my life, and I really wanted him there. He missed it all, every single time, always with some excuse. Work, money, his new relationship taking priority, whatever it was that week. My mom, on the other hand, has been there for everything. She drove 4 hours to help me move dorms freshman year. She sat through every single choir concert and award ceremony growing up. She's the one who helped me figure out my financial aid when I switched majors and panicked about extending my time in school. She has earned her spot at this graduation 100 times over. So when my dad texted me a few weeks ago asking for the details of the ceremony, what time, where to park, all of that, I just felt this wave of exhaustion wash over me. And I told him, honestly, that I didn't think he should come. I said something like, "Hey, I appreciate you wanting to be there, but you weren't there for the stuff that actually mattered along the way, and I don't want to deal with the stress of having you there now." I said this is a day for people who actually showed up for me. He did not take this well. At all. He called me immediately, and he was hurt, saying that I was punishing him and that everyone deserves a second chance, that he's tried to reach out over the years and I was the one who sometimes didn't respond right away either. He brought up that he's paid child support all these years, like that's the same thing as showing up. He said graduations are for family to come together and that I was being cruel by excluding my own father from something this important. He even called my grandmother, his mom, and got her to call me too, telling me I was going to regret this when I'm older, that family is family no matter what, and that he's still my dad even if he messed up sometimes. Sometimes. That word alone kind of set me off because to me this wasn't sometimes, this was a pattern, for 8 straight years. Now I've got some family members saying I'm being too harsh, that I should let him come and just keep my distance from him there if I need to, that it's just one day and I could grin and bear it. But other people, including my mom, actually stayed neutral and said this is genuinely my decision to make since it's my graduation and my life. Honestly, I keep going back and forth in my head. Am I punishing him? Or am I just protecting my own peace on a day that's supposed to be about me and the people who actually helped me get here? I worked 5 years for this moment, and I don't want to spend it managing my dad's feelings or worrying whether he's going to show up late or not show up at all like he's done every other time. So tell me, am I the jerk for telling my dad not to come to my graduation after he missed everything else in my life? Or is he the one who lost this privilege a long time ago? If you're enjoying these stories, hit that like button and let me know in the comments which story you relate to the most. Story 2. My relatives put their own headstones on my mother's grave. So I just found out my relatives literally defiled my dead mother's grave with their own headstones, and I don't even know where to start with the rage I'm feeling. Let me give you the backstory because this is messy and it goes back 30 years. My mother and my aunt, her own sister, had been in a feud for over 3 decades. It started because my aunt stole $10,000 from my mother years ago and never paid it back. On top of that, my aunt ran this whole smear campaign against my mom in the small town where they're from, spreading rumors, turning family members against her, the whole 9 yards. My mom tried, genuinely tried, over those 30 years to mend things. She'd reach out, she'd try to make peace, and every single time my aunt did nothing but put her down and twist the knife a little more. My mom passed away 2 years ago. It was devastating for our whole family, but especially for her husband, my stepdad, who had his own trauma to work through on top of losing her. He finally got to a place where he felt strong enough to handle some of the final arrangements that had been left unfinished, things like finalizing the headstone design and making sure her resting place was taken care of properly, the way she deserved. And that's when we found out. When he went to the cemetery to check on things, he discovered that my aunt and some other relatives on that side of the family had gone ahead and installed their own headstones, essentially staking claim to the plot area right around and even overlapping with my mother's grave. We're talking about a family plot situation where apparently there was some ambiguity or old agreement about who had rights to what section, and my aunt used that to muscle in her own family's markers right next to, and in some accounts practically on top of, where my mother is laid to rest. My stepdad was floored. He said it felt like a final act of disrespect, like even in death my mom couldn't get away from this woman. We don't even know exactly when they did this, whether it was right after the funeral or more recently, but either way, nobody in my mom's immediate family was consulted or informed. We just showed up one day to bring flowers and there they were, new headstones with my aunt's family's names on them, crowding the space that was supposed to be peaceful and just for my mom. I confronted my aunt about it, and she acted like it was no big deal, like it was simply a family plot and she had every right to use it since technically some of the land was purchased generations ago by our grandparents and never formally divided. She said I was being dramatic and that death doesn't erase family ties, so it's fine for everyone to be buried near each other. But that's not the point. The point is the disrespect, the total disregard for what my mom went through because of this woman, and the fact that nobody asked, nobody warned us, nobody cared how this would feel to the people who actually loved my mother. Now there's a divide in the family. Some relatives think I'm overreacting, that a cemetery plot is a cemetery plot and family ends up buried together all the time, that's just how it works in small towns with old family plots. Others agree with me that this was a calculated move by my aunt to have the last word in a feud she started 30 years ago, and that she waited until my mom couldn't fight back to do it. We're now looking into whether we can legally have anything moved, whether there's some kind of cemetery plot agreement we can dispute, but it's expensive and it's another fight we didn't ask to be in, all while we're still grieving. So tell me, am I the jerk for being absolutely furious about this, or is my aunt the one who crossed a line that shouldn't ever be crossed, even in death? Story 3. My stepsister trashed my apartment, now she wants to stay here again. So my stepsister completely destroyed my apartment while I was out of town, and now she has the audacity to ask if she can stay with me again. Let me explain how we even got here. I'm 20 years old, and my stepsister, I'll call her Mia, is 19. Our parents got married when we were kids, so we grew up together, but honestly we were never super close. We've always just been civil, cordial, the kind of siblings who get along fine at family dinners but don't really hang out otherwise. Still, I've always tried to be a decent older brother to her. I've helped her with school projects, driven her around when our parents were busy, that kind of stuff. A few months ago I moved into my own place, my first apartment on my own, and I was honestly really proud of it. It's not huge, but it's mine, and I worked hard to afford it. Mia was going through a rough patch with our parents, some arguments about her not going to college and instead wanting to travel and figure things out, and she asked if she could crash at my place for what she said would be just a week or two while things cooled down at home. I said yes because, again, I try to be a good brother, and I figured a couple weeks wasn't a big deal. Well, a couple weeks turned into over a month. She wasn't paying rent, wasn't really contributing to groceries, and started treating my apartment less like a temporary favor and more like her own space. I let a lot of that slide because I didn't want to start drama. Then I had to leave town for about 5 days for a family thing, some out-of-state event I couldn't skip. I told Mia she could stay while I was gone since she still didn't have anywhere else lined up, but I made it clear, no parties, no having a bunch of people over, just keep it low-key and take care of the place. I came home to an absolute disaster. There were stains on my carpet that I'm pretty sure are alcohol, cigarette burns on my counter even though I don't smoke and never allowed smoking inside, a broken lamp that was actually a gift from my grandmother, and trash just piled up like nobody had taken it out the entire time I was gone. On top of that, my neighbor stopped me in the hallway to tell me there had been a loud party with tons of people I didn't recognize, going until like 4 in the morning, 2 nights in a row. My neighbor said they'd almost called the cops. When I confronted Mia, she barely apologized. She said it was just a couple of friends over, that things got a little out of hand, and that I was overreacting about some stains and a lamp. She didn't offer to pay for any of the damage or even help me clean up. I ended up spending a good chunk of money getting the carpet professionally cleaned and replacing what got broken. Fast forward to now, a few weeks later, Mia is having more issues at our parents' house, another blow-up apparently, and she texted me asking if she could stay with me again, just for a little while, same deal as before. I said no. I told her after what happened last time, I'm not comfortable having her stay with me again, at least not unsupervised while I'm out of town. She got really upset, called me dramatic and said I was holding a grudge over a one-time mistake, that she's still my sister and I should be there for her when she needs me. Our parents are kind of split on this too. My dad thinks I'm being harsh because family should help family. My stepmom, her mom, actually thinks I have every right to say no, since it's my apartment and my responsibility if anything happens there. I just keep thinking about how hard I worked to get this place and how she treated it with zero respect, and how she still hasn't paid a cent toward the damage. So tell me, am I the jerk for refusing to let my stepsister stay with me again after what she did to my apartment? Story 4. I refused to fund my dad's business, now I'm the family villain. So apparently wanting to pursue my own education instead of bailing out a family situation makes me the selfish one now, and I genuinely don't know if I'm wrong here. Let me lay out the whole thing. I'm 20 years old, finishing up my bachelor's in electrical engineering, plus a second degree in a specialization of electrophysics, at a top 30 university. I know how that sounds, kind of bragging, but I promise I'm giving you this context because it matters. I've published actual research papers as an undergrad. I had an internship with NVIDIA. I've worked incredibly hard to get to a point where pursuing a PhD in electrical and computer engineering is a realistic, achievable goal for me. This isn't some fantasy, I have the qualifications, I have faculty who want to work with me, and PhD programs in my field typically come with full funding and a stipend, meaning it wouldn't even cost my family money directly. But here's the problem. My parents are going through serious financial struggles right now. Not because of anything I did, but because of some bad business decisions and some bad luck. And ever since I brought up wanting to apply to PhD programs, they've been on me non-stop about how selfish it is that I want to keep studying instead of getting a job right now and helping support the family financially. They've said things like, "We sacrificed everything for your education and now you want to go be a student for another 5 or 6 years instead of stepping up." They've brought up how much they spent on my education so far, how they expected me to graduate and immediately start bringing in a real salary to help pay down debts and support my younger siblings. They call the PhD a selfish choice, like I'm choosing my own ego over my family's survival. Here's the thing though. I've tried to explain to them multiple times that PhD programs in engineering, especially at the level I'm looking at, are fully funded. I would receive a stipend to live on, my tuition would be covered by the university and my research grants, I wouldn't be taking out loans, and I wouldn't be asking them for a single dollar. If anything, having a PhD would set me up to eventually make significantly more money in research or industry positions than jumping straight into an entry-level engineering job right out of undergrad would. But they don't seem to hear that part. All they hear is, "You're not getting a full-time job right away," which to them means you're not helping us right away. My mom has cried during some of these conversations, saying she doesn't understand why I would choose to sit in school for years when they need help now. My dad has accused me of being ungrateful after everything they gave up for me growing up. I do feel guilty, I won't lie. I've thought about just getting a job with my bachelor's degree and postponing the PhD indefinitely to help out financially. But I also know that if I do that, given how competitive research positions are, I probably will never go back for it. This is genuinely a narrow window, and it's something I've worked incredibly hard for. I've offered to help in other ways, working part-time during the program since I would have some flexibility, sending money when I can from my stipend, but that hasn't satisfied them. They want me to essentially give up this path entirely and get a full salaried job now. Some of my friends think my parents are being unreasonable since I'm not even asking them for money, I'm asking for their support and understanding while I do something that costs them nothing financially. Others say family obligation should come first no matter what, and that I should suck it up and support them the way they supported me. So tell me, would I be the jerk for pursuing this PhD anyway, even though my parents are struggling and see it as me abandoning them? Story 5. My girlfriend won't stop mocking me over a meal I regret. So my partner keeps turning my most embarrassing moment into a party trick, complete with sound effects, and everyone thinks it's hilarious except me. Here's what happened. On a trip to Asia a while back, I accidentally, and completely unknowingly, ate some horse meat. I didn't order it on purpose, I didn't even realize what it was until partway through the meal, and honestly, I personally don't want to eat horse. It's just not something I'm comfortable with, whether that makes sense to everyone or not, it's how I feel. The second I realized what was actually on my plate, I stopped eating it immediately. That should have been the end of it, just a weird travel story, one of those funny little culture shock moments that happens when you're abroad. But ever since that trip, my partner has turned it into this recurring bit. Whenever we're out with friends, or even with family, if the conversation lulls even a little, they'll bring it up. They'll tell the whole story with this big dramatic flair, and then they do this thing where they imitate me, like actually making neighing sounds, like a horse, to get a laugh out of the room. And it works, everyone laughs, every single time. I usually just smile weakly and try to wait it out, hoping the conversation moves on to something else. I don't want to make a scene in front of friends or family, so I've mostly just gone along with it, laughing along just enough so it doesn't look like I'm being a downer. But it's starting to wear on me. It happens constantly now, practically every time we're around other people for more than 20 minutes. The most recent time, we were having a quiet dinner, just the two of us, no one else around, and my partner brought it up again, unprompted, and started doing the whole bit, the neighing noise and everything, just for their own amusement since there was no audience this time. And that's when I finally said something. I told them, honestly, that I'm not comfortable with this story anymore, that I don't find it funny, and that I'd really appreciate it if they stopped bringing it up, especially the neighing thing, because it makes me feel like a joke rather than someone they respect. My partner got defensive immediately. They said I was being way too sensitive, that it's just a funny story and everyone loves it, that I used to laugh along too, so why am I suddenly making it a big deal? They said something like, it's not that deep, it's just a joke, why are you killing the vibe over something so small? But here's the thing, I never actually found it funny. I laughed along in the past because I didn't want to seem like I couldn't take a joke, especially in front of friends and family, but internally it's always bothered me a little. And the fact that they did it again even when there was no audience, just for their own entertainment, made me realize this isn't really about making other people laugh, it's become something they genuinely enjoy doing to me, regardless of how I feel about it. When I didn't laugh this time and instead told them how I actually felt, they got kind of cold toward me for the rest of the night, like I had ruined something between us by refusing to just play along one more time. Now I'm wondering if I overreacted by finally speaking up, or if years of quietly smiling through something that embarrasses me was actually the real problem here. So tell me, am I the jerk for finally refusing to laugh along to a story about myself that I've never actually been comfortable with? If you enjoyed these stories, drop a comment telling me which one was your favorite. And if you want more relaxed Reddit readings, make sure to like, subscribe, and hit the bell so you never miss a video. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed these stories, like, comment and subscribe for more relaxed Reddit readings.